Alright, where's what I'm looking for here? Ah, here it is. Right. There. Alright. Bought this a while ago. Time to see if it holds up. Sometimes there are those franchises that, even though you know that they have problems, you just can't bring yourself to hate. Whether it's something you watched growing up as a child, or something that has a fond emotional resonance with you, or maybe a familial connection with you through like your parents or your grandparents or your cousins, or if you're a parent yourself, like your sons and your daughters and your grandchildren. Like, there's always at least that one that everyone can seem to get behind, and one that, even though it may not be like the most amazing thing you've ever seen, you can't bring yourself to hate it. Now, I have a fair few of those, Sonic being one of them, because he's made his fair share of mistakes. Dragon Ball has definitely made its fair share of a mistake. And SpongeBob, I mean, a whole era has been talked about to death on the internet about its mistake. So, needless to say, I do have a fair few of those, but the one I think of that comes to mind, especially bringing childhood nostalgia into account, one that was pretty much with me ever since I was born, was Winnie the Pooh. It was a franchise so sweet and innocent and just always brought a smile to my face whenever I saw it. Heck, when I was a kid, growing up, going through in and out hospitals and usual stuff like that because of what, I had 2 Winnie the Pooh plushes in my hospital room almost all the time. I had a normal Winnie the Pooh that was about the size of Snowflake here. It wasn't super big, but it was by no means a small plush. And it was of regular Pooh Bear, just, usual Pooh, no special dress up or nothing. And then I had a gigantic one that was the size of, I don't really know where it is right now, but I have this giant Spider-Man plush that about sits up to probably my the rest of my chair. From the floor all the way up to the armrest of my chair. If not even a little taller than that. That thing is humongous. I don't even know where I got it or where it came from. But I had a Winnie the Pooh plush that size, dressed up with him as a bee, all the time as a kid. Now, I do still have those plushes, but they are up in the attic. So, who knows where they got off to. But my point is, I had an attachment with this series ever since I was a kid. And even though I didn't grow up on the original Winnie the Pooh, I did grow up on some of their other material. For one, I had a hardcover edition of the book and the many adventures in that. I had the Heffalump movie on DVD, and I watched the ever-living crap out of it. Especially as like a little kid. And I was always familiar with Winnie the Pooh. It was just one of those franchises I was always around when I was a little kid. So, now as an adult, I have taken a bit of a break from Winnie the Pooh. Obviously, outside of covering the horror movies, of course. But I've never really watched the original movie of Winnie the Pooh, The Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh, this review. This was Winnie the Pooh's first ever feature film. And that surprises me because I felt like there was more before that. But I don't know, maybe my memory's just fuzzy. But this is one that I have heard a good deal about. I've seen a few reviews for beforehand, and a lot of people seem to love it, much like anything Winnie the Pooh. Pretty much anything related to Winnie the Pooh, I've seen lots of praise for. Even the Heffalump movie, which people think is more in the mixed category, or The Search for Christopher Robin, which what I've heard is one of the better direct-to-DVD Disney sequels, but it's not a great movie. So, when I finally tracked down the Masterpiece Collection VHS tape of this movie, I finally saw my chance to check it out for the first time and see why the world fell in love with this character so much through Disney's version, because Disney's version is far different than the actual book. But it's more well known, it's more famous, and you can argue it's why Pooh is still popular today. I didn't mean to make that a pun, I'm sorry, but yeah, needless to say, I had a lot of expectation going into this, and I wasn't really disappointed. Now, it does have a few little minor gripes and issues, but overall, I actually really liked this. I really enjoyed watching it, and I'm excited to talk about it with you guys. So now with my embarrassing childhood story out of the way, let's talk about the actual movie we're here to review, shall we? What's up, what's happening, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Anime Station, your friendly animation, including TV and movies, and bears that love honey, I guess. I don't know what tagline to put here. I'm your host, Jackson Small. Welcome back to DisneyVember 2. Welcome to my review of Winnie the Pooh's first ever theatrical movie, The Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh. Now, calling it a movie is a bit of an oxymoron because it's more kind of like a collection of different shorts that kind of combine together into a story. Because it's called The Many Adventures because many adventures happen during this one movie of 83 minutes. But they put it together and call it a movie. But because it's all the same thing rather than a bunch of random stuff like the three saludos or saludos amigos or two different things like Ichabod and Mr. Toad, it works a lot better. All combined together by a nice little narration, which includes some funny fourth wall humor. Keep in mind, this was years before we got the theatrical version of Deadpool, so yeah, I have a good bit to talk about with this movie, so all I can say is I hope you enjoy my review. I apologize for the super long preamble, but I really wanted to tell the story, because I'm not really sure when the next time I'm going to talk about this series is, because I don't know when I'm going to get to the direct-to-DVD sequels, and I don't know when I'll talk about the next movie in this series. So, without further ado or delay, here's my review for The Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh. I hope you guys enjoy. Despite being more than familiar with this adorable little bear and his friends, I've never actually seen this one before, having grown up more so in the Heffalump movie, since it's the only one my mom had as a kid. Well, my mom had at the time when I was a kid, as far as I can remember. So needless to say that I was pretty excited to see how it all began with this first ever feature film for the franchise. And I was not disappointed in the slightest, because this is such a wonderful, charming movie that reminded me why I fell in love with this character as a kid. Great animation, iconic characters, very clever writing. It shocked me watching this, seeing how clever this movie's writing actually was. Whether it was the jokes, the dialogue, or just the storytelling. It was all so much more clever than I was expecting it to be. Wonderful atmosphere, delightful music, good voice acting, especially Jim Cummings, who is a great Winnie the Pooh. Hilarious humor, brisk runtime, it's literally the exact same length as Robin Hood, perfect pacing, a surprisingly realistic and profound ending, and high rewatchability. I can definitely rewatch this anytime, any day, anywhere. However, like I said, there are a few little gripes and nitpicks I do have with it, so let's address those. Some of the jokes are a bit hit or miss. When you have a movie like this that has so many jokes, inevitably some are gonna end up falling flat. But the good news is, the ones that fall flat are usually followed by ones that hit and land very effectively. So it's not, like, super noticeable. There's not really much of a story per se. Like I said, it's called Adventures of Winnie the Pooh because it's more a bunch of different stories all gathered together into one feature film, starring one cast of characters. And sometimes it tries to be a little too clever for its own good. Like, there were times I'm like, okay, maybe dial it back a bit. You don't need to be so existentialistic. Like, it's hard to explain without spoilers, but if you've seen the movie, you'll kind of understand what I mean here. Like, I'm impressed the movie's clever, but at the same time, it can push its boundaries a little bit. But maybe that's just me. I don't know. Overall, those are all nitpicks in all honesty. This was a great time. While it lacks in story, it makes up for it in spades with charm and a lot of laughs. It's a delightful experience that I personally can easily recommend. If you're a fan of Winnie the Pooh and you, for whatever reason, you're like me and have not seen this yet, definitely check it out. It is a charming, wonderful little movie, and even though it shouldn't really classify as a movie because it's a bunch of different stories put together that just happen to have the same overlapping characters, it's still a great time, and I definitely recommend checking it out if you haven't already. If you want something that's fun, lighthearted, but surprisingly clever and mature, check this movie out. I think it'll quite surprise you. Final verdict for Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh is going to be a high 8 out of 10. I can't quite give it a 9 because it does have some problems, but I can't bring myself to hate it. It's just such a cute, fun little movie, and unlike something like 101 Dalmatians or Aristocrats, it doesn't bore the ever-living crap out of me. So, definitely check out Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh if you haven't already. It's a good time. It's not like the most amazing revolutionary thing ever, but it's a good time, and I definitely think it's worth watching. So, there we go. That's it. And that is the last physical copy of any of these movies that I have until we get to Little Mermaid. So, it's going to be back to some of our normaler? Did I just make up a word? Who knows? Our more normal fare with just me, no copies, and pictures and whatever. So, thank you guys so much for watching. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more videos like this almost every single day. Feel free to leave in the comments your own thoughts on Winnie the Pooh or your own stories about how you grew up with this character. I'd love to hear them. And I'll see you guys next time when we get into a movie that is a little inconsistent. I'll do my best to explain it next time when we talk about The Rescuers.
And I will soon forget. So listen and you won't regret. Be true to yourself, don't miss your chance. And you won't end up like the fool who ripped his pants.